All right, guys, what's going on? It's Josh again, and today we're going to talk about some stocks you could watch for the rest of August. So I'm going to talk about some plays I got in mind, stuff I've been looking at. I think it's already been an interesting August. It's going to get even more interesting. I'm looking at a lot of that global political stuff, but there's a few plays I'm looking at just where they're at with their prices, the price of their options, and just stuff to watch where I think there'll be potential movement. Again, that's the main factor we're looking for when we're going about trading options. So before I get into it, check out the free stock trading course below, and then make sure you're subscribed with post notifications if you don't got that on, and like the video if you love me and you want to have a serious relationship with me. Okay, this is getting really serious now. No, but starting with it, I'll go over some plays that I own. I'll show you some of the fewest trades I just got. I got a regen August 31st for next week, 400 call for 81 cents, and then a September a 111 call for 56 cents on Microsoft. So I think Microsoft's good. I will tell you, Microsoft, I may have hedged it. I did hedge it. I got both ways. I like the price of the September calls, and I also like the price of the shorter term puts. So I'm playing both sides on it, and I like the fact with time. I actually, the Netflix I played, I sold it. I got a September Netflix call. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, so here it is. This is relating to the September play I got with Microsoft, but I did the same thing with Netflix. I did this on August 20th, and I closed out one the same day. I got 600 bucks back. That's how much I initially put in. I put in 600 for both of them, got my $600 back, pretty much paid for the one free contract, and now holding that free contract. Now I sold that other one out at 1100, and I talked about that in my last video. And then I played this put on it a while ago. That's just another $100 to $700 play you guys could see. But in general, now, one thing I did with this call, why I got it, it was $300 for a stock that was, 20 or 30 bucks out of the money for September. That wasn't that bad. And as you see, the stock went well past that. The stock was in the money at one point today and fell out of that, I think, afterwards. And again, that's a good reason why I sold it, because now that contract, I sold it for a decent amount, I think. So, and that's selling into the implied volatility, selling at the top. But that's one thing I would look for. That's one play. The next one I was saying, well, that's what I was saying with Microsoft, but the next one is Regen. I think even though there's been this decline, if you look at some healthcare stocks, they haven't really gotten hit by it too much. Regen had the earnings and some other stuff, but another one too you could pay attention to is Vertex. They've really showed strength throughout all this. I think they have some announced like smaller drug approvals coming, but this is a bigger bio and it's not going to get affected by smaller approvals as much as a company without as many drugs. So that's one thing to take note of. I like Regen though. Again, I showed in my play with the losses. I've lost money on these weeklies, but usually I'm up on them. I just get, the thing you got to worry about these options, there is a high spread on them. The spread is actually huge, even at the money, 60 bucks. But it's like $1.20 here. And even though it's after hours, but that's usually how it looks during trading. Next ones I'd watch is Google and Facebook, just because both of them are acting a little weirder than the bunch. But there's been that report on Google tracking. There's stuff with the elections, and Facebook's coming in the storm. I think Google is at risk of getting a privacy concern type issue. There was an article on that. Hasn't really had the effect on the stock yet. I think I'm waiting for someone to blow it out of proportion. So there's Google is very interesting, and the options are cheap. Really, the implied volatility on it has been down substantially. So like even calls and puts on both sides are down, and that was the same thing that happened to a lot of options today, and even Microsoft. That's why I liked it, because Microsoft options, both your calls and puts are at a cheaper price, day over day, and even when you look at them, over the last couple weeks. So that's a good opportunity to think, you're seeing prices have just come down. Time has decayed, implied volatility's gone down, so now the stock isn't, the options aren't as expensive. So that's something to pay attention to. That's what I liked with it. Next one I got in mind is Snapchat. I like them for either way. I think they could. I think they're just at a crucial spot. They might be testing that 1050. I don't know if they're gonna go. You could say it's the trend or whatever, but I think there's a lot of talk. They just had a lot of employee sales for tax purposes, their schedule stuff. But I think with Twitter going up, You're seeing a negative effect on Snapchat, and they're seeing news of people saying Snapchat's doing the worst. Their earnings wasn't so hot. So I think they're at a pretty vulnerable time, and if they could kind of continue this streak, they're close to either breaking that point of recovering or going back to 1050. And if they break that 1050 level, I think this would be the time they did it, coming off of that weak earnings. So I'm watching that for, again, rest of August. I think the next 2 weeks we could get some good ideas. And lastly is Roku. This one really caught my attention today. Options were fairly cheap the last couple days, but are fairly expensive. They were cheap at one point, but it's pretty expensive. It's up here. Actually, I do have one more play after this. I just saw it, reminded me. But they've gone up, and really they had great earnings, like crazy stellar earnings, just good investor response after everything. It's an IPO. It's pretty much breaking past that all-time high, and if it rips through here, it'll be interesting to see where it could go. I know they got a pretty small float, 68 million shares. Good earnings, good feedback. Investors are liking it. So I just think it's going to be an interesting one to watch and see what it does. And lastly, now finally, is Win. I think this one is getting in on the Chinese stuff, everything that's going on China overseas, some of the issues with gaming, which is more digital, but gaming in the sense of casinos will have an effect too. And even in general, you got Alibaba's earnings, and Win is kind of a Chinese stock, believe it or not. But I'm more connected to what they're doing with that. They had a bad earnings, so they've been slipping. And if they continue the trend, I think they're going to break like a 3-year low or something. No, okay, just 1-year low, but they're pretty high. They got some room down, but I like them. I think they're interesting. I just like their options too. The stock is very volatile. The options move up and down very quick. You either make money or you just get burned. I think I did have one more, but I guess I'll just leave it at that. Well, anyways, hopefully that helps. Hopefully you guys keep your eye out for these. Keep track of these, see what happens. Let me know if you guys find options on them. Put them in the comments. I'll gladly talk about them. Maybe I might buy them if I like them. And good luck trading. Be safe. Remember, these options are scary, and they're very, very risky. Don't even think scary. Think what they really are. They're risky. You guys can lose a lot of money if you don't know what you're doing. I recommend you paper trade. Use this as information, not to trade off of it, but to learn. I'm showing you my losses, see where I'm getting, my mind's at in terms of finding stuff, what I'm looking at, and how I'm already prepared and set up to make these plays in the future. So hopefully that helps, guys. I love you all. Drop a like, stay in school.